I'm back with another Inspired by video. This is a series that Juliet, Sheriff, and I do on our YouTube channels every other week, where we're inspired by a different scrapbooking designer. Today we're going to be inspired by Paige Evans, and she is a former garden girl from Two Peas in a Bucket, as well as I think she's on the Studio Calico design team, and she is on the American Crafts design team, and she uses a lot of patterned papers, which I'm actually not going to use a lot of pattern papers today, but the other thing that she does quite often is she'll back silhouette die cuts with various patterned papers and her photos as well. And so I am using a large die cut for my title, and I'm backing the zeros in the "A picture is worth 1,000 words" with my photos. Those are photos that me and my husband did in a photo booth on his birthday in the mall, and we're just being silly. And I had two of the same strip, and so what I did, because each strip only had 4 photos and I needed 6, I cut them apart, and I'm putting the first and second photo in the first 0, the second and third photo in the second one, and then the third and fourth photo in the last one. So there's a couple of repeat photos, but that's totally fine with me. And I am using the Scraptastic Darlene kit and for this layout, and I was struggling to decide what side of that paper I wanted to use, because I really like the bold stripe that I flipped over to the polka dot side now, but I really love that bold stripe with the gold foil heart, but I just didn't feel like the die cut popped enough against it. So in a compromise, I'm going to cut a couple of strips from that side of the pattern paper, and I just totally messed it up, because what I was trying to do was cut a couple of strips so that I could piece it back together so it was still the same length as one whole patterned paper, but with just 2 strips on the sides, and I cut off another strip. That was dumb of me. So I'm just going to, even though I cut it all weird, I'm just going to piece it back together, and you will see in the final layout the line where I cut that piece accidentally, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to piece it back together like that didn't happen. And it's going to take me a second to piece it back together because I keep messing it up, but anyway, I finally get it in the end. So I've pulled out various die cuts from the I Am ephemera pack or die cut pack from Simple Stories that I am going to use to kind of decorate the page, as well as an acrylic arrow, which is exclusive to Scraptastic, and a flare, which is exclusive to Scraptastic, and I think a label and a printable that are also Scraptastic exclusives. And so here you can see I've pieced that back together, and now I'm just going to get my photos adhered to the back of this die cut piece. And so I'm just putting a little bit of adhesive and kind of tacking it down and cutting off the edges where it poked out from behind the 0. And it's not a perfect science. I'm just kind of, it looks messy on the back. It doesn't matter because it's going to be covered up, you know. So going back to Paige Evans, like I said, she often takes really intricate die cuts and backs them with all sorts of patterned papers. Here, I didn't choose an intricate die cut, but I did want to still back what I could with patterned paper, and so I am going to fill all of the little holes and circles in the words with this striped pattern paper from the We Are Memory Keepers Crate Paper Craft Market collection. I just have the 6x6 paper pad, and it's a teal stripe. Well, it's like teal with a navy stripe, and I really love that paper. And I just like the way I've got kind of a tone on tone look. They're like the teal on top of the aqua. I just really like the way that looks. I originally was thinking about backing them with all different ones, but because there are so few little holes to fill, it didn't make enough of an impact that way. It made more of an impact to do them all the same. And so that's what I've decided to do. So now I'm just kind of going to play around with some of the embellishments and see where I want to place things. And I've got kind of a variety of different pieces that I'm going to try to work in. And how I have that heart and that flare clustered now is, and the arrow is kind of how I wish I would have ended up doing it, but it turns out a little differently than that, which is okay, but I don't know, I had a hard time with that cluster. So I'm trying to make 3 kind of points of interest, one at the bottom right, one at the top right, and then one to the left of the 1. And I'm just going to play around with the different embellishments. And the yes to this and those that take chances little die cuts are Scraptastic printables that you just print and cut yourself. And the video jumped ahead a little bit. I just adhered the die cut title, and I didn't want you to, I adhered it on foam tabs, and it took a while to peel the backing off all of them, and I didn't want to subject you to that, so I just went ahead and sped the video forward a little bit. So I've added a little circle that says this is right now with a little heart die cut in the center of it down in the bottom, and I kind of tucked it in where the 1 and the W meet, and I like that. And now I'm just adhering, these labels are Scraptastic cut apart that you get in the kit, and I'm just using them as kind of layers. So this pink, light pink one, I wanted to bring up to the top for another bit of pink because I have the pink heart down at the right, and then the pink little label on the left, and so I needed a little bit of pink up at the top. And I like to do that, balance my color, and you'll see in a minute, well, towards the end of the layout, that I fuss with that balance a little bit more. That little label says "so thankful," and I really am, yes to this, so thankful. Like, it's just us being silly, and my journaling ends up talking just about how I'm glad that we can still goof off and have fun together and just, yeah, have fun. So, yes to that. I'm just rifling through that I Am die cut pack again to see if there's a few more things I can add. So I had a little bit of gold on the feathers in the in the left cluster, and then I had that arrow up at the top. It's hard to tell, but that is gold foil as well. And so I wanted to bring a little bit of gold to the bottom, so that I pulled in that star. And now I'm going through all of my flare to see if there is a piece of flare that I can use to balance the flare that I have at at the bottom right, which is the black one with the little glasses. I felt like I needed something to balance it. And in the end, well, I'm going to choose a piece of flare that says happy just because it's black and it feels like it fits, but I'm having a hard time trying to cluster it with anything because it it just feels like a weird, like a fourth cluster, and it feels unbalanced to me. So I'll eventually just take that off, and I end up balancing the black in a different way, which you'll see towards the end of the layout. So for now, I'm making that a little cluster with another star. And I'm going to move and fuss around with these layers to just kind of make them fit the space better, and I'm going to end up moving it maybe 2 more times. I don't know why that gave me such a hard time. This layout took me about an hour, which isn't very long for me, but I don't know. Right now I'm looking for something. Those feathers felt really designed, and there was nothing multicolored in any of the other clusters, and I wanted something multicolored. So I'm just going through the die cuts again. I wasn't going to use flowers because it's me and my husband, but it's fine if there's flowers. I'm a girl, and whatever. Even if it was his birthday, I can put flowers on the layout. And so I pulled out these flower die cuts, and they are kind of just what I needed. But now I'm having this issue where I have that bright coral in the top and in that bottom cluster, but I don't have it in the left hand cluster, and so I'm going to switch out that little heart die cut that was aqua for that bright coral color, and that really balances everything out for me. And again, just fussing with these layers a bit, trying to get things just where I want them. I don't know, that right cluster still is not my favorite thing, but it looks okay. Overall, I ended up really happy with this layout, even though there were a few things that kind of drove me crazy. So I'm just going to write down my journaling. Paige often just writes her journaling. Well, sometimes she'll write it in one of the little die cut spaces. I didn't have a space like that, so I just wrote it below, just a few lines about, you know, how what I was talking about before, how I'm glad we can still have fun together. And after that, I'm just going to add some black splatters to the top left and the bottom right, and that's how I'm going to balance that um, flare badge that was giving me so much trouble. And I just sprayed a little bit of the mist in the lid and then dropped it on so I could get some big splats. And like I said, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. This has been such a fun series to do, and Paige Evans is really inspiring. If you haven't checked her out, I will leave a link to her channel, so be sure to go ahead and look at that. And be sure to watch Juliet's video to see how she was inspired by Paige. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.